It's this. The Dodgers need starting pitching. That's been a priority from the get-go. Again, not maybe a priority ahead of Shohei Ohtani, but we were doing the math on they don't just need one starter, it's probably two. And you could make a case that depending on the level, Blake, they might need three starting pitchers. The name that keeps popping up as I was reading every Ohtani piece that I possibly could today, the name that keeps popping up is Tyler Glasnow of the Tampa Bay Rays. People are going out of their way to mention him. Yes, we know he's available. He's in the final year of arbitration due to make $25 million. We know the Rays aren't going to want to pay him. They probably don't want to pay him $25 million this year. They want to recoup some assets for him now. But it seems like there's a lot of smoke around the Dodgers and Tyler Glasnow. So before we get into the smoke itself, what can you tell me about your view of Tyler Glasnow, the pitcher, and whether or not he checks the box that the Dodgers are looking for?
So there's really two ways to look at Tyler Glasnow. One is he's an elite starting pitcher, and he would instantly upgrade the rotation. He would be the ace of the staff, and he is absolutely phenomenal when he's on the mound. The other view of looking at him is he's rarely on the mound, and he's often injured, and it's definitely a concern. This past year, he was healthier after, I think it was May, he came back, and he pitched the rest of the season. But going back throughout his history, there's been a lot of injuries there. So for me, I kind of make the comparison to him as like he could be the new Rich Hill for this team. You acquire him for the impact he's going to make, and you hope he's healthy for the postseason. And whatever you get in the regular season's a bonus. I think we all kind of know the Dodgers are at the point where you're looking more ahead to the postseason than the regular season because we just kind of assume they're going to be in the postseason. So Tyler Glasnow is definitely an impact pitcher who would improve this team. He's going to be cheaper because the injury concerns there. And his contract, he has 1 year left. It's projected for about $25 million. So he would be great. And I think Dodger fans would love to see him pitching for the team, but the injuries are a real concern. So if you do go get Glasnow, you also have to add others around him.
To be clear, he is a Rich Hill type pitcher in the quantity of starts he is going to make. He is a much better pitcher than Rich Hill ever was. Rich Hill was good. This is not an anti-Rich Hill segment, but yeah, Glasnow, when he's healthy, is one of the better pitchers in baseball, right, Blake?
Yeah, definitely. Glasnow might have some of the best stuff in baseball, but I think you're underestimating how good Rich Hill was.
Rich Hill was very good. I'm just saying nobody was including Rich Hill in a preseason Cy Young Award winner article, whereas Glasnow is the type of player that's getting mentioned in the same breath as, Blake Snell, Corbin Burns, etc. Am I off on that?
You're not off, but I'm just throwing it out there. In 2019, Rich Hill had a 2.45 ERA with 11 K per nine and 2.7 walks per nine. So, if you got that from Glasnow, you'd be happy. It was only in 58 innings, but, that's what I'm talking about here.
If anybody interpreted that as an anti-Dick Mountain segment, I want to be crystal clear. I was as pro Rich Hill, and I came on here lots of times and said he was exactly what the Dodgers needed because, to your point, Blake, they need quality more than they need quantity. They need guys that in the postseason you can throw out there and they're going to be very, very good. It's why I've been pro Kershaw so often because, yes, he's old and he misses a bunch of starts, but the starts he makes are very good. And those are the types of pitchers the Dodgers historically have needed because they could backfill with young guys and they could backfill with kind of average to above average starters to buy them time. The issue now is they need, I'm not going to say they need Lance Lynn, but what Lance Lynn brought them was a guy who could go out there every 5 days and give you 6 innings. They don't need Lance Lynn. We are all glad Lance Lynn is gone, but you can't replace Lance Lynn with Tyler Glasnow from the perspective of if you bring in Glasnow and Glasnow alone, you need somebody to eat innings. To make this point more clear, let me read the amount of starts and innings pitched he has had since he came into the league. So he came into the league as a 22-year-old with Pittsburgh in 2016. We're going to skip that year. 2017 with Pittsburgh, he pitched just 62 innings. 2018 between Pittsburgh and the Rays, 111 innings. Now you might think, hey, that's a pretty decent number for a 24-year-old. 60 innings in 2019, 57 in the shortened 2020, 88 innings in 2021, 6.2 innings in 2022, and 120 innings last year. 120 innings, Matt, is best case scenario for Glasnow. And I mean that best case scenario because the 4 seasons prior to that, he averaged something like 50 to 60 innings pitched. So everybody's connecting the Dodgers to Glasnow. I'm curious your thoughts on whether or not this is really as good of a fit as maybe it sounds in a headline.
Maybe not, but it just makes the most sense when you look at the money the Dodgers have already spent, the money they probably will still need to spend. And, there is the familiarity between the Dodgers and the Rays, obviously the Andrew Friedman connection. We've seen some questions about asking about Randy Arozarena. I think Fabian Ardaya of The Athletic said, as of now, that doesn't appear to be possible. Can't necessarily rule it out. But I think Glasnow, in terms of trade targets that have been kind of publicized, so Dylan Cease, Corbin Burns, Glasnow, I think he's the most likely to end up with the Dodgers because the prospect cost is going to be assuming it's just a trade for him and not a Arozarena as well. The prospect cost is going to be the lowest compared to the other two pitchers. Yeah. Yes, there are the injury concerns, but there's his projected salary in arbitration. He's going to be a free agent after the 2024 season. So when you factor all that in, it could end up being sort of an upside play by the Dodgers, which we know that they are fond of. And yes, he does have injury concerns, and those are valid. And I still think it would be fine so long as it's not, hey, we traded for Tyler Glasnow. That's our big move in the starting rotation. If he's a second or third, ideally third move, great. If he's a second move, I think it could still work.
Let me just put you, the other name that they've been linked to is Dylan Cease, who is more reliable as far as being on the mound. He also wasn't very good last year. He was incredible the year before that. He has 2 years of team control, so the prospect cost would be more significant. I think Dylan Cease today is viewed as a lesser pitcher when healthy than Tyler Glasnow. They might be similar tiered pitchers if we're factoring in health, all things considered. But Blake, when you think about Dylan Cease compared to Tyler Glasnow, I think it was Cease, who has made 32, 32, and 33 starts over the last 3 years. How do those two compare in your mind? Like if they came to you and said, hey, would you rather pay 125% of a prospect cost to go get Dylan Cease as it would cost you to get Tyler Glasnow? Which of the two would you prefer? Oh, we got Matt. Muted. What about you? I mean, Blake, it sounds like maybe some
I would definitely go the route of Dylan Cease at that point. I think with Ohtani on the roster, with we've talked about the seasons that Mookie and Freeman both had. Like, you can't necessarily waste any years right now, and so if you can get some of the reliability from Dylan Cease instead, that makes sense. Even if it's going to cost you maybe a couple more prospects, the Dodgers are flush in that area, and I've referenced it before. I think yesterday, that even when they do make significant trades that include prospects, they still tend to come with another wave, and it's a testament to their drafting, to their scouting departments and stuff like that. So I would just pay the cost for Cease to get the little bit, as much assurance as you can get. Anybody can get hurt at any given time, and when you're talking pitchers, it's almost a crapshoot anyway.
Yeah, I think I tend to be with you, Matt, just because of the same issue is like Cease. I would pay up for a guy that's going to give me 32 to 33 starts a year. And to your point, it's not a guarantee that that's what we're going to get from Cease moving forward. But 2 years of team control versus 1 year of team control. Look, I'd feel better about trading with the White Sox than I would with trading with the Rays as well, from a prospect perspective. And so I think just as I'm looking at those two packages, I would take my chances with a guy like Dylan Cease over Glasnow. And yet the last point here is there does seem to be a lot of smoke around Glasnow. It's not to say they couldn't make both trades, but I think I'm with you. I think the Dodgers need a guy who's a number 1 or a number 2 starter. I know some people are down on Dylan Cease. I don't think he's a guaranteed number 1, but I think he's a really good pitcher. Glasnow, maybe the ceiling is higher, but I just that would scare me if the best starting pitcher the Dodgers end up with is Tyler Glasnow. Matt, that would freak me out a little bit, I think is kind of the bottom line.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I stand. And, I guess there is also an argument for if they are going to end up paying maybe a little bit more, does the happy medium become Corbin Burns, where he's maybe going to cost a little bit more as Glasnow, not necessarily as much as Cease, because he also like Glasnow, he only is under contract through 2024. And so because of that, do you maybe go that route?
Yeah.
I think this is, as much as it's well publicized that the Dodgers need starting pitching, right now there are still several options out there. And look, maybe they decide to just spend on Yamamoto and Blake Snell and say, hey, we're just going to use our money and then save, prospects to address other areas of the roster.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily what I would do, but that can't necessarily be ruled out either.
Yeah, I think Blake mentioned it on our show the other day. I like the idea of go out and get a tier 1 guy. Yamamoto's the most obvious choice just because of age and whatnot. Go out and get that, and then add in a Lucas Giolito type who, there is some upside there, but there's also a reason why he's going to be available on a 1-year deal for less money. It's kind of the Andrew Heaney type route, and just see what happens. And, Giolito hopefully is like a number 4, number 5 who eats innings for you, and the offense is good enough to carry you. That would kind of be my vision for it moving forward. But we will see what the Dodgers do, and of course we'll keep you posted here. Again, thanks to everybody that's joining us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're well over 1,000 people in here, which is an amazing number. We do this every Sunday night, so make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell here on YouTube. If you're a podcast person listening after the fact, we do podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Google. Just search for the Dodger Heads podcast. You can find us there as well. We're going to bring our guy